Bobby Torres of Frightbox recording here to share with you my all-time favorite trick that I use when I find that I'm getting to be a little too crazy with EQ on my guitar tracks. Now we've all been there. We have our mix feeling like it's sitting pretty decently, but we find annoying frequencies in our guitars and we just nitpick and constantly boost and cut and apply never-ending EQ moves on our guitar tracks. Now we are all guilty of this, even guys who've been doing this for decades upon decades. Now with that being said, I have a mix here that I did a few years ago that I remember did not come together easily. And one of the biggest challenges that I was facing at the time was the guitar tone. I spent a lot of time dialing in the guitar tone right at the source. I used a live 5150 through a Mesa Boogie cab with proper mic placement, but even with that being said, I still struggled with the guitar tone against everything else within the mix. No matter what I did with EQ, I just wasn't satisfied with how my guitars were sounding, again, in conjunction with everything else. And I specifically remember the trick that I used to help knock myself back down to reality and get my guitars sitting the way I really wanted them to. So with that being said, I'm gonna play the final resulting guitar tone in context of the rest of the mix, and then I'm gonna dissect and show you how I achieved the mix, the guitar mix that I did within this production. Let's check it out. Okay, so one problem I was having, I remember, is that I was listening to my guitars in solo way too much. Even though I knew better at the time, I still found myself falling into this trap while mixing this song. So let's just quickly go through the routing here. I have my two 5150 tracks, hard pan, and they're both being sent to a guitar submix, and I have no processing on the actual guitar tracks themselves. All of the processing is happening on my guitar submix. And as you can see, I have a little bit of multi-band compression just to control the palm mutes, and some very, very basic EQ, nothing crazy. But that wasn't always the case. I remember having crazy cuts, slight boosts in the top end. My guitar tone just sounded too bright, then too dark. I had a lot of trouble for some reason within this specific mix. But right now, let me share with you my super simple trick that I always default to when I find myself falling down this never-ending rabbit hole. So the first thing I do when I have this issue is I completely remove my EQ. And what I like to do is start with a clean slate, so I take my guitar completely out of my mix. And then what I do is I play the mix back and slowly bring up my rhythm guitar submix to where the guitars are sitting right level-wise, with absolutely no EQ applied to the guitar tracks. So let's do that right now. Okay, so sitting at around -14 dB, I feel that my guitars are sitting in the right space, at least when compared to the rest of my mix level-wise. Let's take a listen to these guitars again with absolutely no EQ. Okay, as you can hear, they sound pretty decent, but a little muddy. And that's why I was getting myself into trouble when I was EQing these guitars in solo. So the first thing I'm gonna do is pull up that simple stock EQ. I'm gonna roll off all frequencies below, I don't know, 70 Hertz, and all frequencies above 12K. Now, instead of soloing my rhythm guitars and EQing them that way, I'm gonna play the mix back in the exact same fashion and apply simple EQ cuts to where my guitar sounds a little clearer and a little less muddy. Let's check it out. Okay, let's hear that once more with these exact same EQ cuts that I applied. Let's check out the mix. And there you go, some simple EQ cuts in the lower mids, and that guitar tone, for me, at least hearing it now, sounds pretty good. Such a simple process for mixing these guitars, and again, I spent hours struggling with these exact same guitar tracks while I was EQing them in solo because I was overthinking the process. I lost sight of the big picture, which is such a common problem that we face while mixing. Now, I wanted to share with you this very simple mixing trick and mindset shift because it's something that many of us face, even me. Now, you don't only have to do this with guitars, you can do it with drums, vocals. Sometimes I just had to remove the EQ plugin or compressor plugin and start from scratch, usually by achieving a decent level and then applying EQ. In other words, getting my tracks to sit nicely before I go nuts notching out problem frequencies. So please let me know, do you find yourself over EQing your guitar tracks? Do you feel they're often too bright, too muddy, too thin, too fat? Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'd love to hear your opinion. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. You can both like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And be sure to download my custom impulse response of the exact same cab that you heard in this mix. There's a link below to the free IR. Download it, load it into your favorite amp sim plugin, and get right to dialing in killer metal guitar tone with absolute ease. Until next time, happy mixing.